All right, we are back for part 2 of episode 20 of ZK Live. This is a live show and podcast where I answer questions, talk to people, I interview people on Tuesdays. Today is not Tuesday, so I'm not interviewing anybody. We are just discussing the paint industry as a whole, my experiences in it, my thoughts. I start rambling sometimes, but again, I lost all those questions that were in the comments. So if anybody wants to re-ask those questions or re-comment, that would be valuable for me because I no longer can see them. I do have a couple questions here. I'm going to ask, I should read them before I just read them out loud. Is it better to be great at a few things or pretty good at a lot of things when starting out? I believe fairly strongly it's better to be great at a few things when you start out, but also basically in general, I think our world today, except for maybe at the ultra high levels, but for the most part, our world today rewards being really good at a few things much more than it rewards being okay at a lot of things. Depends on the path that you go down, but if I was starting a company, I think it's more important to be really good at a few things. Niching down is very valuable in my experience. I just think that efficiencies come on a number of levels when you are niching down, and efficiencies are what make you competitive in the market. And so I would say when I first started, I was doing everything for everyone all the time. It's not efficient. You're buying new tools, you're buying new pieces of equipment, you're doing things for the first time, you have no muscle memory to them, you have no systems in place. It's just like, it will delay success for a lot longer than if you just focus on a couple things, stay in your lane. Don't try to run the 100 meters, the 200 meters, the 3, the 4, the 8, the mile, the 2 mile, and the 5K. Like, don't try to do them all, because the skill sets to be great at the 100 are just so different than the 2 mile that it's going to be hard to perform at a high level at either one of them. So when I started to niche down and focus on the few things we were really good at, I found a lot more success than when I was trying to be all things to all people all the time. It's not very efficient, and that's where profit and value comes from, is being efficient, being more efficient than your competitors. That's, if you look at like big picture business, that's competitive advantage, is finding ways to be more efficient. And more efficient doesn't necessarily mean cheaper, but it means getting more money to do whatever. I don't need to get into that. Understanding Michael Porter is a tremendous book. I recommend that you all read it. I should read it again soon. But that's really goes into like the meta of business and competitive advantage and efficiencies and how to be profitable and how to be competitive and all those things that I think are very valuable. And so if I was looking to start a company, to answer your question, who asked that question? Curtis Hughes asked that question. I think it's better to be great at a few things and not try to be pretty good at a lot of things. Unless the thing that you're really great at is being really good at a lot of things, which I'm sure there's a way you could build a business around that. But it would be, you're focusing on really being broad. I'm sure that like handyman services, or there's companies where you could do that. Okay. What are the ways you grew from a one-man show to where I am today? I think the first step was like having a desire to. Sorry, at the break, I had to crack open a cold Waterloo. My bubbly was getting a little warm over there. Black cherry's not my favorite, but it's still quality. It's Waterloo. And cold seltzer over warm wins every day. Okay, so this going from a one-man show to growing to 8 painters, I think it was... First, I had to get good at doing it myself to be able to bring on a couple other people. And I had to have enough work to be able to do that. And And so it started with like a desire to want to grow. And then it got to the point where it was the desire to want to grow had to mean that I needed to focus on different things. So once I got to like 2 or 3 people, it became clear that if I wanted to go to 4, 5, 6 people, I was going to have to stop painting. You could talk to a bunch of painters. It's sort of, there's really good rules of thumb around number of painters versus management types of roles. And, you know, if there are 2 painters, you can't really not be painting as the owner. Like, that's a really unique and very rare model where you'd have 2 painters and a guy who's not painting. You're a lot of overhead for 2 guys. So I think when I wanted to grow, I started to realize that if I was going to grow, I had to 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Like, I had to take myself out of the field. And when I took myself out of the field, which means you have to have great people, good enough people around you to do the painting and you not be there painting. And I was the best painter in my company for a long time. And in some aspects I am, but every day my team is starting to surpass me as far as being the best painter in my company, which is my goal. If I'm going to be the owner and not paint, I better not be the best painter in the company. That's not very good. So I think I needed to step back from the painting everyday role. And that is, I think, a very difficult thing for a lot of painters to do. It was hard for me. I was lucky I had people to look to. And I think there's a way to do it. I think that's the 1 step backwards before the 2 steps forward. Like, you're going to take a hit on revenue. You're not going to make as much money. It's going to be a growing pains time for sure. And it's also it's a big mental leap as far as what am I going to be thinking about now? And I wasn't very great at it in the beginning. I wanted to have someone, you need to have someone, it's better to have somebody in place that's going to be now the new person who's obsessing on how to paint better. And then you can step back from obsessing on how to paint better and start obsessing on how to manage human beings better, how to get the most out of people, how to get the most out of your sales process, how to bring in leads to keep these people going, all of the other things that are truly running a business. I think you start to run a business when you stop painting. It's really hard to run a real business. I'd argue it's impossible if you're doing the painting every day. You are working for yourself, like we talk about a lot, and I did for a long time and probably still do. I couldn't sell ZK painting for very much money today. It's not a business yet. So I think it's a mindset change. And John Shearer was very instrumental in that for me, and still is when we talk about what does it look like going from 500,000 to $1 million in revenue, and what does it look like from going from $1 million in revenue to $2 million in revenue. It's my owner role changes dramatically during each of those phases. And if you don't have mentors, and this is not rocket science, I'm not doing anything that no one's done before. People have taken one-man painting companies and grown them into 8 painters many times. And if I have goals to grow from there to bigger, there's many, many people who have done that. So you join groups like the PCA and you meet a bunch of people who are doing it and have done it, and you can learn a lot. So I think looking at my role differently was something I learned from John Shearer. Mickey said, is it fair to say that you take advantage of the wealthy people and take advantage of them? Not even close. I think he's being facetious. But, obviously not. Do you know how hard it is to take advantage of a wealthy person? First of all, that's not the group of people I would look at to take advantage of. If I was one who was trying to take advantage of people, I would not go after wealthy people. As I've said before, I think when you meet plenty of wealthy people, you realize they're very intelligent, very high-functioning individuals who it's not very easy to take advantage of. I don't think they're prime targets. That's just for one thing. But I'm looking to sleep at night and build a sustainable company over time and feel good about that. So taking advantage of people is the last thing on my list. I'm looking to, when no one's looking, be able to feel good about myself. So taking advantage of people is not the path. Again, I think that's the mistake people make when they look at work. You drive up to a $9 million house. If you don't drive up and treat that person exactly how you treat the person in a $400,000 house, you're not going to be working for a lot of people who own $9 million houses. the equation doesn't change. Like amount of hours plus materials equals a price. Now I may spec out a project that requires more hours, which make the price go up. But I'm sure not going, oh, this guy's got a $9 million house. I'm going to double my hourly rate for this client. If I did that, I would not have a business. Now, maybe I get lucky. Maybe I happen to find the one dopey wealthy person in this neighborhood, and I strike it on them. I hit them for $150 an hour, and I do super great. That's not a sustainable model now. Plus, it's going to be tough to sleep at night thinking I got over on somebody. Let's see. Brunga says, I believe that Venetian plaster in the next 5 years will be very popular as it already is in Europe. I agree with that totally. The Venetian plaster, we just did that lime plaster job. As I can free up mental capacity, financial capacity, R&D capacity, I'm definitely going to target it toward Venetian plaster and lime plaster. I think there's a big market there for sure. Wallpaper as well. I would love to get into those two markets. At this point, I just don't have the bandwidth. But if I was looking to get into to grow as a company, those are probably the two markets I would really be looking after. I agree. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm reading things. What is the most first good impression to use? I understand it's top secret, but and what is the most first good impression that you use? I understand it's a top secret, but I'm not sure I understand the question, EA. I mean, the best first impression your company can have is your reputation. Like, your reputation precedes you. I'm going to coin that term. I'm not sure if you ever heard that, but your reputation precedes you. Yeah, that's you can now attribute that to me. Anyone who's ever heard that. No, obviously not. But I think it's a very true statement. You can't control like directly your reputation. I can't go tell a client, hey, go tell your friends this about me. That doesn't happen. People, we're social creatures. We're going to talk to. So I can again craft an amazing experience that will then lead to a referral that comes with like, not call this guy. Call this guy because whatever that is, that reputation that's going to precede me, that's the best first impression you could ever make. I haven't even gotten into the topics I want to talk about yet. This is insane, man. I can just talk, huh? I think I found a great outlet for this. I just talk and talk. But I want to talk about going above and beyond in that mailbox project that we did and things like that. But I think that is something I want to spend more of my time thinking about, is that client experience. I pay a lot of lip service to it, have for a while. And I do pay mind to it. But I think we could do even better. And so we're continuing to push the limits of customer experience. Because I definitely fall short on things. We're not perfect. But the best first impression you can make is your reputation, which is going to come from how you treated somebody else in the past. I would start there. Somebody said they're impressed with my work ethic and attitude. I appreciate that a lot. I get a lot of kind words from people in DMs, and honestly, I've suffered from low self-esteem my entire life. I wouldn't say I suffer from. I've experienced low self-esteem my entire life, and I don't think it's a bad thing. If any of you guys listen to Adam Carolla, you will know I believe a lot of what Adam Carolla thinks on this subject. And low self-esteem has pushed me to be better and better and better. I've gained confidence in the same way Gina talked about. I was not a very confident person for a long time. I've gained confidence by gaining knowledge and hopefully a little bit of wisdom. So when people send me messages that are nice and say nice things, a lot of times like I pay no mind to them in a way. Like my brain doesn't. I read them and they just like don't stick. But every once in a while, people will say, so I appreciate them. Every once in a while, people will say some like more than just like a simple like 2-word thing. They'll say something with like context to it that'll like hit me. But I appreciate the kind words, guys. I really do. Oh man, John just he's burning me. He said that this baller doesn't even finish his seltzer. Throw it in the gutter and go buy another one. Oh man, that hurts. No. Yeah, I think I probably have a tendency to look at making $1 more than saving a penny. That's definitely an attribute of mine that, it's not an awesome one. It is and it isn't. I think I try to balance that and try to be in moderation with that. Anyone that knows me knows that, I don't mind spending money in a way where I don't know. We don't need to get into that. It was a funny joke. I will probably still put this in the fridge and finish it just for you, John. But this one's cold. Okay, Mickey just asked, why can't you be the best pound-for-pound painter? Just like Muhammad Ali or Jordan. Why can't you say you are the best in the business game? Why can't you just be the best? I'm not sure I understand. I mean, I'd love to be. That's the goal. Like, that's what I'm like. I'm in the gym working to be the best pound-for-pound paint contractor, whatever it is. Like, I'm trying to be the best me. If you're saying, why do I not think of myself that way, which maybe that's what he's getting at, I'd love to be the Jordan of the paint game. But I think I'm like a top prospect in high school right now. I'm grinding. I have some potential, but there's a lot of guys way ahead of the game. They're not on Instagram. I mean, the guys are making $1 million a year painting, who are servicing clients at mass and have amazing businesses where the people do well and the clients do well. Like, a lot of those companies aren't on Instagram. We don't know them. There's a lot of killers out there that we just don't get to know because they're doing so well. I talk about John Shear a lot on here. He's one of those guys. I've been working to get him on this podcast. He's a controversial figure. He says it how it is. He doesn't. Very similar to Mickey. He doesn't necessarily hold back a lot. But John Shear is the Muhammad Ali of the paint game. One of them. Like, he is an incredibly high functioning individual. He's not going to be very soft. He's not going to be very like kid gloves. But that man is effective. He's an effective human being, and he's not nice. And I aspire to be like John Shear. I aspire to be less nice for nice sake and more effective. Because I think I came from a place where it's safe to be nice all the time. And nice is fine, but I don't want to be fine. Like, I want to be effective. And if I want to give back, I want to have the means to give back to things I want to give back to. I don't want to be a charity to my clients who can afford quality and give them lower prices because I'm too afraid to really get what it's worth. Or I think John helps me a lot, and guys who are super effective in business help me a lot to try to get away from being nice for nice's sake. So yeah, I would love to be the best pound-for-pound painter, but I'm definitely not there yet. It's tough when I read some of these comments after we were just talking about stuff to get the context of them. Do you ever get stressed, anxious, thinking about how there's a group of people who work for you and whose livelihoods and families rely on you continuing to find work? Benjamin Pure hit the freaking nail on the head. That was one of the things we were going to talk about today. The stresses. Do I get stressed and anxious thinking about the people that work for me and their livelihoods? 100%. And I would love to hear what John Shear has to say about this. Because there's a part of business that's like, completely like spreadsheet economics that says I shouldn't, and that I should care about the company's bottom line or something like that. I don't really know. I'll tell you, I 100% experience stress and anxiety thinking about the lives of the people in my team. There's no question. More than you can imagine. And I play golf once a week, sometimes twice a week if I'm lucky. I went shooting a sporting clays today. I exercise. I pray. I do many things to offset the stresses and anxieties. And then I work hard. Like, I work hard in my business to relieve those stresses and anxieties. If I sit and think, if I just sit, think, do nothing, like, yeah, those things will start to get on me real good. So and that's why I work really hard in the sales and marketing aspect, and I've tried to work really hard to build more demand than there is supply. And I will continue to do that. We will not hire more painters, although I could handle a couple more right now. I'm not sure what 3 months will look like. I'm not sure I can manage a couple more. So I'm going to be more conservative because I really care for my people, and maybe not as much for my like insane profit margin right now. I don't really know what I'm talking about. But yes, the people in my team and how they're doing concerns me immensely. Because I have really high quality individuals that I care a lot for and I respect a lot and I want to see do well. I remember what it was like working for people, and I want to give them the best experience that I possibly can. I'm not perfect, but like that is a thing that when you start to have employees that are not just like random pay cash to them type of people, like real people that have families. Like I didn't have people who had families working for me for a long time, and it part of it was probably I wasn't getting high quality people a lot, but also like I don't know if I wanted the stress. That was more stress to think of like, oh, there was like children that this person was needing to provide for. I have that now, and so yeah, I think there is. It pushes me to be better. I've always done really well in life when I'm backed up against the wall and I have to rise to the level of the occasion. I'm not one that does great without sort of outside pressures. So I've learned to facilitate outside pressures and like almost make fake outside pressures for myself, or real and fake, combine the two, to like get me going. I'm not good all by myself in a room. I'm not real productive like that. It's just something about I'm a very social person, and I care what people think about me, and I'll get the most out of me by doing certain things. So I think one of the things is having people on my team has made me better because of the nature of who I am. If that rambling answer is helpful at all. Somebody said great advice. Thank you. So that Ben followed up that with because that's the type of thing that keeps me up at night and makes me hesitant to take vacations and days off. Yeah, I think that's true. I think that if you study human nature, you will learn, it sounds patronizing, but if you study human nature, you will learn that. I think that I talk about this a lot, but there's the axe, the guy who cuts trees down every single day as hard as he can all day long, cuts 10 the first day, 9 the next day, 8 the next day, 7 the next day. His axe gets duller and duller, and eventually he's cutting 1 tree down a day and he's busting his butt. And the other guy who cuts 7 trees down stops, sharpens his axe, goes home nice and rested. Comes the next day, spends the first 2 hours of the day sharpening his axe, cuts down 7 trees, nice and easy, goes home to his family. And every day he consistently cuts down 7 trees because he sharpens his axe and he takes care of himself. I've worked very hard to internalize that into my life because that's not my nature probably. My nature is to just like run in there and chop wood as hard as humanly possible and do that every single day. People who know me know that is kind of my nature, and I'm working very hard to get to be the guy who sharpens his axe and chops, and sharpens his axe and chops. So I think taking time off is that sharpening of the axe. So vacations and days off for me as an owner, and also for my people, we try not to work weekends very often. We try to stick to a 40-hour schedule if we can. I think does overall maximizes productivity. So that anxiety that comes with having all those responsibilities, I think almost gets exacerbated by working extreme hours and not taking time off to decompress and sharpen that axe. So maybe try to sharpen that axe a little bit more. Find something you can do. Maybe it's not take a vacation, but maybe it's like join a league, golf league. I joined a golf league. We play 9 holes every Wednesday evening. And in the beginning, it was really hard to do. And now it's like, no, that's just what I do. My Wednesdays from 3:30 on, they're taken up by, and if I have to go to the shop after and do stuff, which I do all the time, it's fine. But I'm going to go play golf. I'm going to take my phone and I'm going to just play golf and like get my head clear. That's a valuable time, right? That's more valuable than if I went to the shop and worked for 3 hours to the overall functioning of my company. So if that helps at all. Yeah, it is extremely stressful and takes up a ton of energy and attention to run a business. There's no question. And managing, like John said, you need to learn to manage the stress. And managing the stress is definitely a key. Mickey does like to stir the pot. There's no question. Don't you, Mickey? I don't know anyone who's got a painting job over $1 million. Do you mean total revenue or one paint job? I know people who've done both. It's crazy to think about doing a million. I think Chris Polidoro just told me he signed a $1.1 million painting contract on a single house. It's unbelievable. Or maybe that was a multifamily. I don't really remember. I'm sure he's done it on a house too. Many houses have $1 million paint jobs. Not many. There are plenty of homes that have $1 million paint job. Sorry, I'm reading because I'm way behind. These comments are way behind where I was talking now. Cassio, I know you're requesting to go on. I just don't know you, and I think we all know what happened last week when I brought on even someone I did know live. Does anyone remember? Cassio, do you work with Cindy Stumpo? We do some work for her. Because Mickey, I can't say I'm the best because I'm not the best, bro. That's not even like questionable. Do I think that we spray the best Holland Lac doors in the country? I think that we do. Do I think at volume we spray the best Holland Lac doors in the country? I think that we do. But then Chris Polidoro gives me a run for my money. You know, I don't know. I'm just trying to be the best I can be, man. That's better than trying to be the best overall. That's how the best overall get there, is by trying to be the best they can be all the time. Here's a funny thing. 18 people watching and 30,000 followers. That is a funny thing, isn't it? I'll never understand the algorithm. How about TikTok? We just crossed 250,000 followers today. TikTok is out of control right now. If any of you guys should follow us on TikTok. You'll get a kick out of it. Excuse me, I gotta let my dog out of the living room. The TikTok world is insane. We found one of our videos has 21 million views now. It's scraping paint out of a roller. So the interns just started getting a bunch of paint together, crazy colors, and scraping paint out of rollers, and people are just eating it up. And then I put like my actual paint videos on there. Some of them do okay. Some of them disappoint me a little bit. People care more about paint getting scraped out of a roller. But yeah, the numbers on here, like even for 30,000 followers, like it's a weird ratio of likes, views to followers. Like I believe when Instagram and Facebook for sure, when it first started, it was not an algorithm. It was just like pure, like people saw in a timeline, or what am I kind of trying to say? In whatever, the amount of time, there's a word for it. Now, if you look at the ratios between followers to engagement, it's a very odd. When I had a lower number of followers, the ratio is much higher. And as we get more followers, the ratio goes down. So I don't know what that means. Then you see some guys who bought their following, and that's hysterical. I won't talk about who those people are. Man, crush it. Oh, we got some like... I'm related to Michael Jackson? I don't get the reference. Is that why I have 30,000 followers? I don't get that either. Employees are like kids. Hack painters of the world, man. Do we drug test? No, we don't drug test. That's interesting. That's a good question. We always say on the job application we drug test, or maybe we do. I used to say that, just hoping. I've heard so many stories of people who say on the application that we drug test, and they drug test the guy or girl, and they test positive. Is that why you have 30,000 followers? You're a marketing king? I wouldn't say I'm a marketing king. I think I've figured out how Instagram works a little bit. And we started early. Like, the time you started on Instagram will have a dramatic effect on your number of followers. If I started my Instagram today and did everything exactly the same, I bet you I would have, like, I don't know, 8 to 10,000 followers if I was lucky. Like, it's just such a different game than it was. Even 2 years ago, Instagram was so different. It's what TikTok is today. Right now, if you start a TikTok, you can gain a following so freaking fast, you can't believe it. In a year from now, TikTok is going to be a saturated market again. There'll be a bunch of content producers, and it will be so much harder to get someone to follow you. So I think the time I started Instagram was very, and I didn't even start. There was guys who started way before me who have much larger followings. And then also the amount of content you put out. There was like lots of times where I did and didn't put out content consistently. I still don't put out content as consistently as I could. We put out content incredibly consistently on TikTok, and it all of a sudden, I think these algorithms reward producers of content, and that's like something about the algorithms will see, like, oh, this guy puts out stuff all the time. We'll put more of his stuff out to more people. So I know I've talked to some people, like experts, that will say if I just put if I put 2 pieces of content out on Instagram every single day, I would see my following grow a lot faster. What has Phil done for you lately? Oh man, you guys are funny. Phil's amazing. Phil makes it so that I don't have to show up to jobs all the time. Phil just did a metal wall. Phil just sprayed a metal wall in Newburyport, Massachusetts. That is a 2.5-hour drive from here. I went to that job like 2 times, and they crushed it and sprayed 20 pounds of bronze. First time that's ever been done in New England. Maybe in America. But that's the largest amount of metal sprayed in New England that I've ever heard of. So Phil just continues to elevate our organization game, and he's great. And he's a great teacher to Hollis as well. I got nothing but good things to say about him. Same here. Probably something wrong with that. Depression. Hack painters of the world, who are you, man? I'm going to stop talking about losers like that. Like, people just come on to troll. I feel bad for you guys. There's some trolls, man, and they're not worth the time of day. I'm going to skip all that stuff. That's too bad. Did anyone suggest using a 12-23 and an 18-inch roller? Did anyone in your company? I've used them in the past. Mickey, I saw you using it. It made it top of mind for sure. We don't get into them because I just don't have the sized pumps. Like, I probably won't use a 12-23 again without getting a bigger pump. I'll tell you that. I think we were really close to frying our machine. It didn't want to get cleaned at the end. I wasn't there, but apparently it was acting up at the end of the day. We had pushed that machine to its limits. Ooh, sleep deprivation. I've always wanted to do a sleep deprivation tank. They got lots of those out in California, I know. Also, I'm a little scared. No, I'm not. It would be fun. I've never been in a deprivation tank before. But obviously I heard Rogan talking all about it. I haven't listened to Rogan in a long time. I listen to a couple of shows, but not all the time. Exercise is huge. I just finally got some dumbbells in. Do you know how hard buying dumbbells right now is? My brother is a reseller on eBay and Amazon. He buys stuff and resells it all the time. And I finally got some of those Bowflex dumbbells that like stack into each other, so you can have a whole set of dumbbells that just take up the space of one dumbbell. And he bought a pair. He bought them for like $330, something like that. That's what they go for, the retail price. It took him months to get them. He has a bot that runs to try to buy stuff. He got me a pair and hooked me up, and then he sold the other ones for $800 today. So I try to work out to relieve stress as well. Let's see. Someone said, this is the first time I've watched live. I used to steal the audio of my Instagram stories for the first ones. Yeah, I'm sure Idaho didn't buy his followers. Idaho puts out massive amounts of quality content. And that guy's a media, like, dude, he crushes, man. I got so much respect for what that guy does. He started out on this stuff, and creating content is not quality content at volume is not an easy thing to do. He's done a heck of a job. This is tough to read some of these comments because it's like behind. You might have 30,000 followers if you don't curse online. Cursing online is not a good way to get engagement. If I understood the algorithms, maybe I'm just not very entertaining. Yeah, so let's see. I had some more questions. Before we get off, here's some more questions. Okay, this is a big question. I run a crew. Oh, I didn't realize you could pop. Can you guys all see this question, or just me? I run a crew for a company with 10 crews. We're on a precise budgets and schedules. I find myself going over the budgets and doing a better job and then for some reason I don't know how to read the rest. Yeah, that's cool. I'll put these up next time. I don't know how to read the rest. That was my experience working for painters my whole life. Like, hurry up, we're not getting paid to do it that nice. That's a tough position. Like, I didn't understand what it was like to be an owner when that first started. I think I'm just gonna get rid of this guy. I don't have space for haters, man. This is a positive environment here. Like, I had people, always my bosses were like, hurry up, we're not getting, and I wanted to sit there and do a full restoration on a window mullion on a third floor window on an exterior that no one's ever going to see, right? That is a tough spot to be in. I mean, I did an extreme thing, and I eventually went out and started my own company where we get to do a lot of things to the nth degree. I think Kendall asked that question. I think, Kendall, you would be a great fit for my company. When we make ads for skilled painters, what you just talked about is what we talk and ask people, is this been you? Because your mindset is the type of person that we want in my company, right? I'm going to stress quality over speed in a way that maybe I won't do in 5 years, but in a way that probably can arguably hurt the bottom line. It does in the short term. My goal and my model is that it will help in the long run. That we kind of put quality over production speed. But yeah, I think when you're in a company that has 10 crews and has real tight budgets, and I just I wasn't the type of person that did well in those types of environments. I think Mickey is a beast for stuff like that. If you guys watch Mickey's stuff, God, I love you, Mickey. The mentality that you have it's like an owner's mentality as an employee, and that's what I think every employee, if they're in a good company, should have. It's definitely really beneficial. That idea that Mickey's is invested in he'll post about how many hours it took to do X, and we got ideas to do it better next time. Dude, that's the goal of every owner wishes that their whole team thought like that. And because we all know that Mickey's not going to compromise quality. He talks about this a lot. He's not going to compromise quality to get that speed faster. That's the toughest part of our business is how do we get the speed faster without compromising the quality? I'll admit that that's not one of my strong suits. I'm much better at getting quality good. And I believe over time, my skilled crafts, that's why I stepped away, is my people will figure out how to get it there. And Mickey, I believe that you get paid very well. I would hope you get paid very well because that's the kind of mindset that makes companies money. That is, people wonder the mentality that Mickey has. I will say that he is the last guy in the company who's going to get fired. When a recession hits, no one's getting rid of the guy that has the Mickey mentality of how can I do it faster. I'm sure you get paid the same per hour, but he's going home at night thinking about how can I do this job faster tomorrow and get more square footage done and be bragging about it and be pumped. Like, that is a beautiful thing in an employee. And if you're an employee and you want to make more money and you want to be not laid off in the wintertime, you got to have a mentality of how can I make this company more money? I think I was a bad employee when I worked for guys. Like, I was an entitled white American male. Like, as a white dude in America, like, I got to chill out on my entitlement. Like, I got a lot of it. And it's taken a long time to with maturity to understand that, like, my boss, when he's saying hurry up, he's not saying that to attack me or like, he's going, dude, I need to turn a profit so I can pay my family. And, like, we're giving the client what they're paying for, and this is an equation of it's a bigger thing than my ego wanting to do a really great paint job. And so understanding that, like, I need to produce at a rate that's at least what I'm being paid and profitably for my client, for my employer. Or if I want to raise, I better be producing way more than what I'm worth today. And you know what the worst thing you can do as an employee is to be? I just got rid of, I hate saying it, I had to fire a guy, move on past a guy who was good. But I had just recently given him a $2 an hour raise. I don't need to talk about the details. I gave somebody a raise. Here's what you never want to be. Let's cut to this. You never want to be overpaid in your position. If you are overpaid in your position, your boss is subconsciously always looking for a reason to move on from you. There's nobody, I don't know of anyone who, it's very rare, and I don't think it would ever make sense. I would never do it. I would never lower the hourly rate that I pay somebody. Because I think human nature is just such where that's always going to cause a resentment, and no one's ever going to be cool with that and still produce. Once you're driving a Mercedes, you're not going to want to drive a Toyota, even if you have to. It's going to be painful, and you're going to resent it. So if you find a way, if you go to your boss in like peak season, and you negotiate super well to get this high raise, but you're not worth it, you're the first guy the boss is looking to get rid of when things get slow. So you never want to be overpaid in your position. That's a dangerous place to be. It's much better to be slightly underpaid in your position because there's job security in being a guy that crushes and that cares. My boss says do this. I say, bro, you're shit. You're shit. You have no idea. It's really valuable in all of life. So we talked about wealthy people right before. I believe that the people who have wealth or people who make a lot of money, they're adding a massive amount of value to the world, right? And what I believe in this capitalist world, that in this equation is you add value to the world and then you get compensated back for some percentage of that value. Hopefully you're adding a little more value than you get compensated for. Because if you add more than you get compensated for, that's an anti-fragile state. That is something where over time you will do great. You will not have to worry about what tomorrow brings if you are taking less from the world than you give. If you give more than you take, you'll always be okay. So I think that the same mentality goes to being an employee, it goes to being in a relationship, it goes to being a human being. If you give more than you take, then you'll be great. And if you give tons, then you can take more. Like, you'll get more back. And if you add a bunch of value to the world, you'll be compensated for it. You just always will. And if you're not by somebody, move on to someplace else and you will be. But let's see. Vicky asked, what's the average cost to paint a door on high gloss? Well, let's put it up so you guys can all see it, because this is fun. I just learned that we can do this. Bang. Vicky asked a question about gloss doors. So let's just talk about, Q&A's up at the top now. This is cool. If we talk about like a ZKA door, like grade A, we would call it like a signature door. We would generally be $3,500 for one side is sort of the starting rate at this point. Generally, it's like 50% more to do the inside, to do both sides, because there's a lot of efficiencies built in, so we don't double the price to do two sides. Generally, I would say we're $3,500 for a signature door and up. If it's a bigger door, if it's a more difficult, I just priced a door in Beacon Hill. It's going to be a difficult door, high standards, dark color. So it's going to cost a little bit more. And then if clients are like, I don't want to spend $3,500 on the front door, we can give them our B might be considered. I like to say it's other people's A, but we can dial down the prep work a bit, still give you an absolutely beautiful door for $2,500. But are we doing $800 front doors gloss? Like, not a chance. There's just not in our process. And I looked at a job the other day, last week, that the designer had actually asked she asked me to give ballpark pricing on a door. I didn't know it was for this client. The client reached out separately. And I came, they're like, our door's gone being done. I'm like, oh, really? Like, we take doors. I don't know who else takes doors. Like, you want a gloss door? Like, I was very curious. Well, it turns out we had given pricing on that door, and we were more than the client wanted to spend, which is tough because I would have much rather talked to the designer and the client to have been able to tweak that. So I'm going to look to tweak our process with clients. When people ask about rough pricing, it's like, this is for signature. If you want, I think I have it broken down to signature. We had 3 levels. So when I do new construction bids, we give them in 3 levels, and we call them different things. But our signature doors, if you guys have seen, we're putting our coins in all those doors. It's like, this is a ZK door. We hope that the ZK door means something in 10 years to somebody, someplace. And, it's part of the marketing stuff. And on that point, so the last topic that I want to talk about today is going above and beyond. I talk about this a lot. I've talked about this a decent amount. I've not practiced it as much as I'd like. I have and I haven't. Let's see. I definitely have. I got here by going above and beyond in certain ways. I haven't made it like an institutionalized process in our company yet, and that's what I'm looking to do. Is essentially on every job, what is something we can do that will go above and beyond. Selfishly, I will tell you, it's like I want to have a great reputation, and I want my clients to be raving fans. So I'm selfishly going to give somebody something for free that's above and beyond and extra. So we did, actually, it's funny, we did 2 different mailboxes. I should make a post about that. We did those stained front door and a stained garage door for a client. And they had this wood mailbox, this little wooden mailbox on the side. And we stripped and did the same coating system to that as we did to the doors. It was a little extra thing, nothing crazy. But it was a nice little touch. It was like, why am I going to do these 2 things you contracted me to do? And this piece right here that's coated like them, we should do that too. And we'll throw that in. But this mailbox that we recently posted, I'm really proud of that mailbox. That mailbox really makes me happy. That's part of why I'm a painter, is to make things beautiful. And that before and after of that mailbox is pretty stark, and definitely fueled my fire a little bit. My internal make things beautiful fire got fed on that one. And also selfishly, they have a giant gate that I would love to paint in Holland Brilliant to match. And so that'll be like gravy. If we get that project, it'll be gravy. I didn't do it to get it wasn't like this plot. Like, oh, I know what I'll do. I'll manipulate this client. Like, no, it was like, I've been driving up to this client's house for a month now. We did those 3 garage doors and we're doing the 2 entry doors. The client's been tremendous. The project was great. And this mailbox just kept bugging me every time I drive up. It's like, oh man. So at the end of the project, the client's awesome. They pay the bill. And then I'm like, hey, can I take your mailbox and paint it for you? And I want to do more and more things like that because I think it's good for the company. It's good for our reputation. It's good for the clients. It's good for everybody. It's sort of a little bit bigger picture sort of mentality again of like, the world's not zero sum. Let me add a little more value than I take. And if I keep adding more and more and more value to the world, I'll get to take a little bit more and more and more value from the world. At least that's how I see it. So I'm going to continue to look for ways where we can add a little extra value, paint something a little extra, go above and beyond for our clients whenever possible. It's not always possible, but we're definitely looking to try to. And, it's tough. Like, it's running a painting company, running any company, having employees, doing what we do. It's not easy. Do you just keep talking about yourself? I mean, this is, you tuned in to a live stream of me sitting here by myself. So if you're wondering why I'm talking about myself, I'm at a loss of words for you. That doesn't make a lot of sense. Yeah, man, I'm talking. It's me. But if you have any questions, I'd love to answer them. But I appreciate everybody coming on here. This is valuable for me to get to talk out sort of my business stuff. It helps me to be better. This platform makes me better, right? I'm sitting on here and I don't get to be I hope I'm being less of a jerk to people who are being a jerk to me than if I was dealing with people without social media, right? I hope I'm giving better paint. Like, Instagram has helped me give better paint jobs and raise the level of the standards in my company. Mickey makes a very great point. And I'm going to work really. I get distracted by this stuff down here, and I'm going to work to not even engage. That's the best thing to do, is not to engage with people who are trying to engage you in negativity. I talk about that a lot, and I believe strongly in that. I got my eyes on a prize. I want to have a very successful, profitable company that pays my employees well, that makes clients happy. That's my goal. And things that get in the way of that, I need to keep the horse blinders on. And my mentors and my coaches in life have helped tell me that all the time. And that's the struggle as a human, is to not do that rubbernecking of life, to see what's going on over here in this car accident of other people. Because it's tough, man. I do enjoy getting on here. I appreciate the people on here. People counting how many people I have on here. Man, I just don't know what to say to that. Again, please, it's so easy to start your own show. It really is. I turned the camera around and I started talking the first time. And I've been doing it ever since. And I'm going to keep doing it. But what I want to do is get better at it. And so I'm working for that. Like, we tried a microphone. I'm really excited to hear what the audio on this podcast sounds like on Apple when we put it up on the podcast form versus just my iPhone. And we're going to keep looking to get better because I want to add more value to the world than I take. And I think that is a winning equation for anyone, is to add more than you take. Expect nothing. Give, give, give. Gary V. Jab, 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 right hook, right? I think that's what he says. Give, 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 ask with an ask. Like, then you take something back. That's the mentality of the winners. Anyone who's winning, look at what they're doing. Like, they're adding lots of value to the world. So if I can affect any positive change by doing this show, I hope I can. selfishly, I hope this increases the popularity of our brand in the world, because that's good for our company. Like, I'm not gonna lie, like that's why a big part of why I do this is to continue to raise the level of notoriety for ZK painting, because we employ human beings. I'm looking to have the best competitive advantage I can have in the sales and marketing process, so I can get more money for jobs, I can pay people better. At the end of the day, that's what drives all this stuff. And I just want to be able to sleep well at night and know like I've contributed something positive to the world. So I'm going to keep doing that. I appreciate everyone for joining. Again, you guys do me a huge favor by going to Apple and Spotify and liking and write a comment. I wrote a ridiculous, facetious comment about how great I am on my Apple thing, because I was so excited. It finally got an Apple. It took us like a month to get on iTunes. And I wrote this stupid sentence about how great I was. I'm the only comment. If someone would go on there and comment your thoughts, feelings, I'm looking for feedback to guide this show. And a great way to do that is the comment section and rating the podcast. If you want to rate it a 1-star, man, I get it. Rate it a 1-star, but please don't. Send me a DM. See if we can make it better. I hope this isn't a 1-star show. If it is, I think you just tuned into the wrong show. Let's be honest. But yeah, I'm trying to just be the best person I can be, add value to the world. If we all did that, the world would be a better place. There's no question. So again, thanks a lot, guys. Follow on YouTube, Instagram. Obviously, we're all here on Instagram, but the TikTok is fun. Check out the TikTok, man. It has been this little fun game that we sort of started as a side thing. The interns are crushing it, making ridiculous videos. It's a pretty fun, insane platform. But again, thanks for joining us. Check us out Tuesday. It might be 7 p.m. I think we're going to switch to 7 p.m. for that one, because Amy has a client meeting that's big. But Amy Lynn Interiors, super talented. She just met with one of my clients and had saved the day. I don't know if you painters deal with colors and clients deciding colors, but then with a lot of these projects, where are these colors going to go? That was the toughest part. Is we had the colors kind of narrowed down. It was okay, where are we going to draw the line between this color and that color, and should we cross over some of this color into the cabinets over here? Bringing in a good designer helps make all those things go away. So my client, I think, was really happy to have Amy on. I have Amy come in and involved in the project. I'm really happy to have Amy on Tuesday. So if you guys want to hear a really talented, well-spoken, super hardworking hustler of a business owner and interior designer, check us out Tuesday for Amy Lynn Interiors. Everybody have a great night.